Всем привет, дорогие друзья! Вы на канале Джейс и Джек Свидок. С вами всегда я, Джейк. Мы с вами продолжаем прохождение Tangle Tower. Давайте, как я и говорил, вначале пройдемся по вот этим вот комнатам всем. Потом посетим комнату уже персонажей. То есть тут комната, эта комната, эта комната, эта комната персонажей. Конечно, тут тоже вот эти две комнаты персонажей, но просто, ну, понятно, посетим вначале вот эти крайние все, потом комнату персонажей, а там уже будем говорить с другими персонажами, несем о чем угодно. Поэтому пойдем вначале в мастерскую. Тут у нас кто сидит? Феликс, вроде.
Sir? Can you hear me? I'm Private Detective Grimoire. I have some questions for you.
Grimoire. Good mysterious name. I'd rather like it. Felix Fellow at your beck and call.
Felix.
And, this is my colleague, Sally.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good name as well.
Thanks.
If you would, Mr. Fellow, we really need to ask you about the murder.
Well, I must say I'm rather jealous of you two.
Oh yeah? Why's that?
Out here solving mysteries, exploring new places, uncovering secret rooms, hidden treasures. That's what life is all about.
Secret rooms?
Generally speaking, you know, that sort of thing.
So, Felix, what exactly do you, do?
Is it not obvious? I'm an explorer. Explorer/treasure hunter. Yes, well, best in the world.
We're talking like curse statues, spike pits.
It's a little more sophisticated than that. But I've certainly seen my share of danger, if that's what you're asking.
And, if I may ask, when did you retire?
You listen here. I may be between ventures right now, but it's simply not in my nature to stay in one place for too long. I go wherever the winds of destiny take me.
Don't you live here with your wife and daughter?
Yes, well, the Fellow family has certain loyalties, and with Flora the way she is...
Nothing wrong with raising a family, Mr. Fellow.
Don't misunderstand me. Fiona and Flora are my entire world. They are the greatest treasure of all.
Uh-huh.
Да ладно. Нормальный такой немножко мужик. Странный, конечно, но нормальный.
Why on earth would you want to know about that?
The murder of Freya Fellow. The reason we're here?
Ah, right. Nasty business. Very unfortunate. I regret that I can't be of any help, but I wish you all the best in your investigation.
Hear that, Grimoire? We're done here. Let's go.
It's a simple question, Felix. I'm sure you're up to it.
Well, there's not much to tell. Mostly, I was in my room by myself, working on Flora's, working on a project.
Your room is quite close to Flora's tower. You didn't hear anything unusual?
What qualifies as unusual?
What have you got?
It was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent? Perhaps. Uncertain as life itself.
Abridged version, please.
Right. Fine. I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room. The footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty. as was the garden beyond his window. Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora, too, of course. Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I. I stayed. Flora needed me. Dearest Flora, a remarkable woman. Yes, been married over 20 years now.
You two still get on?
Yeah, of course. What a question.
She hasn't gone quiet on you.
It's true she has an independent streak. She's had it her whole life. She's the youngest of 3. Always something of a lone wolf, you know? Just the way she is.
Lone wolf is putting it lightly. She doesn't seem to want to talk to anyone.
She just likes time to herself, away from the company of other humans.
Other humans?
Well, yes, other people, you know. You're the one currently basking in his presence. You tell me.
Let's move on.
Quite the character, eh? A fellow member of the Order of the Crimson Cloak.
Is that a real thing?
No, I just meant because we both wear, you know, red capes of a sort.
Has she questioned you yet?
If you call that questioning, she seemed bored by everything I had to say. I heard on the grapevine. Supposedly Hawkshaw is searching for some rare item. Something called the Golden Beetle. Honestly, it's probably a bunch of sensationalist rubbish.
You reckon?
Quite sure. There is no treasure called the Golden Beetle.
How do you know?
Because I would have heard of it. Uncommonly skilled as an artist, but Freya was so much more than her talent. She helped me get started with my own painting, you know. It taught me what she knew about wood carving, too. Tremendous patience. She was ever so good with dear Flora.
Freya and Flora were close?
Oh, yes, especially recently.
How are you related to Freya?
Somewhat distantly, as it happens. My father, Lord Fellow, was her grandfather. Technically, that makes her a fellow. Let's
Наполовину.
just say there was some discussion over whether she ought to carry the name at all. There's a family tree in the Grand Hall. You should take a look at it.
What about her inheritance?
Freya's parents died when she was around 3 years old. She came to live here shortly afterwards.
Nobody left her a thing?
I'm afraid not. She had no formal claim over anything at Tangle Tower. Fitz? I don't trust him. He's slippery. Never commits to anything. Brain like an onion.
An onion?
Did you two have an argument?
Oh, no, but my daughter doesn't like him at all. And I trust Fiona's judgment entirely. She's a very vigilant young woman.
Ну, про улики я потом его спрошу, потому что здесь тоже можно найти много всего. Дайте посмотреть на комнату.
Yes. It's also a lamp, for some reason.
А почему бы и нет?
It's Earth.
If Earth was made of paper and gave off a gentle pink light. The entire room is made of wood.
Oh, it's not just made of wood. I think it's the actual hull of a ship.
Ну да.
It's a magic lamp. Can we summon the genie?
If we get really stuck, sure. That's a massive conch shell. Do you think there's a little crab living inside?
I hope so. It's a drinking horn.
Is it full of ale? Or mead, maybe?
Right now it's just full of dust.
Oh. A map with a dotted line and an X marked on it.
That's a very boring way to describe a treasure map. You get a good view of the lake from here.
It's a barometer, but it's broken.
I've never seen a barometer that wasn't broken.
What is it?
He's an imp.
What does he do?
Well, if you tell too many lies, he appears at the end of your bed in the middle of the night.
Oh.
The entire room is made of wood.
Oh, it's not just made of wood. I think it's the actual house. An old wooden mask.
Probably cursed. Shelf junk.
Ну, это такие сокровища, если можно так
A lot
сказать.
of redundant light sources in here.
Не думаю, что они...
A pencil drawing of a mountain on a moonlit night.
Mood.
Такие маленькие сокровища, если можно так
A
сказать.
little hand-painted statue.
How can you tell it's hand-painted?
Well, the paints are right there on the desk. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell.
Вот краски. И определенно краски не видим красный. Почему-таки. Но это точно не здесь. Еще.
Nice.
Еще есть.
A real treasure
Еще один
chest.
тайничок.
How do you know there's treasure in there?
Why else would it be locked? Plus, there's a treasure map hanging directly above it.
Ну, кажется, короче. Я вот не понял,
What's the
как
deal
это
with that
делается.
painting on the front?
Not sure. We should check that
То
treasure
есть я
map
сейчас
too.
объясню, как все это делается. Ну, как правильно это делается. Поначалу, ну вот, само изображение, да. Остров, пальма, птицы, морской змей, скала. И вот, кажется, сокровище. Якобы вот тут надо искать именно вот эти вещи. Что я не делал не так. То есть я пытался находить, как по вот этой вот карте написано. То есть змей, там остров, чтобы был рядом змей, там скала, пальма. И вот якобы вот тут все есть, но нет чаек. Вообще нет чаек. И я, ну, вот, типа там у нас места, то есть, как на шахматах, вот. А вот эти вот строчка, цифра, вот думал, ну, то есть, вот это все есть, да. То есть, вот, ай, там, 4. И направление, ну, фиг знает, вот север, наверное, да, там, или что, не открывается. Как оказалось, считать надо не вот это все вместе, а только пальму и птицу, то есть, типа, от смотрящего туда по прямику, вот так вот. То есть, получается, это запад, смотришь от острова, который на H, да, вот он, этот сам остров, смотришь именно на запад, и это 6, вот, H6 запад. Вот как надо смотреть. Я, как должен был до этого думаться, я думал, что по картинке надо смотреть на все вот эти изображения. Оказывается, только на пальму и птиц. То есть H6 запад.
There we go.
Все.
Perfect. What was in the box?
Я и не сразу догадался, что...
More
Ну,
wooden
там говорят,
holes.
что надо посмотреть по рисунку. Я смотрел.
These are a little different to the one on the desk.
Да, вот красная краска немножко отличается от того краски, которая была. Раскрашены фигурки. Фигурка ребенка с зелеными волосами. Фигурка женщины с седыми волосами. Фигурка красной белой птицы. Фигурка широкоплечего мужчины. Деревянные фигурки были раскрашены вручную. Краску нанесли не очень умело. Рядом стоит банка с красной краской, кисточка. На кисточке засохла красная краска. Ребенок с зелеными волосами. Ну, понятно, кто это. Раскрашенная фигурка. Вырезана из дерева статуэтка мужчины с мечом в руках. Фигурка была расписана вручную. На краску нанесли не очень умело. Рядом были найдены желтые, синие, черные и белые краски. А вот и красная, которая отличается своим изображением. И даже формой, если посмотреть. И мы уже видели эту краску. Точнее, у того, как она выглядит. Краски Фрейя. И марка, и даже вот сам вот это все отличается. Я тут сейчас видео затягиваю на целый час. А у кого-то целый час уходит, чтобы 2 видео под часу. Надо, чтобы только вот это быстро дойти до всего.
Charming, isn't it? Yes. built by the Remington family originally. Dear Flora's father and his associates.
But now it's owned by you? By the Fellow family?
The Fellows and the Pointers have both come to claim a certain degree of ownership.
And who named it Tangle Tower?
Flora chose the name.
What does it mean?
I think it was her intention that it mean nothing at all. Something of a fresh start.
From what?
This really isn't for me to say, but she had some kind of disagreement with her siblings. After they moved away, Flora changed the name of the house. I think perhaps she hoped it would make them feel unwelcome, yes, less likely to come back.
That's kind of extreme.
Yes, it is rather, isn't it? What's this?
It's my case file. It's how I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
You mean to say you're bound by the limits of what's written in this little document? Sounds dreadful.
I find it comforting.
Rather ugly, isn't it, as far as statues go? Years of wind and rain have not been kind to it either.
Do you know what it is? The creature, I mean.
It's connected to the Remington family history in some way, but I can't recall. That looks like it might belong to Poppy. I'm as confused as you are. It would have been a beautiful painting. It's rather a shame Freya was unable to finish it.
Nothing about it seems strange to you.
Well, all these modern paintings are slightly strange, aren't they? The emotion of the piece taking over from, say, anatomical accuracy.
Ну да.
What about the knife in Flora's hand?
A knife? That's what you see?
You don't?
Well, as I was saying, Freya's artistic approach distorts certain shapes. Hard to say exactly what we're looking at. Looks like Freya's paints.
Do you know why the pots are cracked down one side?
No, that's very odd. They're normally in excellent condition.
You seem pretty sure about that.
It's unlike her to leave paint on the brush.
I think we'll give her a pass, given the circumstances.
Ah, yes, so we shall. Flora's quite fond of that old thing. It's in poor shape.
Do you know what happened to it?
Can't say I do. But that looks like it might belong to Poppy.
Does Flora normally keep something in here?
She must do, but I admit I've never managed to work out what.
Why not just ask her?
I feel like if somebody keeps something locked away in a ceramic egg, it's because they don't want to be asked about it.
Rules to live by.
Why don't you ask Fiona about that one? Looks like her area of expertise.
Ну, мы зайдем, она потому
That
что в одной
looks
из
like it
комнат.
might belong to Fitz. I've been carving for a couple of years now. I was hopeless when I started, but it didn't take me long to master it, as you can see.
Ну, не очень.
Do you paint them yourself too?
I do indeed, yes. Freya kindly taught me the basics. Nowadays, I can make just about anything I can imagine. Of course, this particular model is a self-portrait based on hard fact.
Hard fact, huh? So, you own a sword, Felix?
Of course, I own a great many. But my weapons are stored well away from Tangle Tower. Safety first and all that. Now you found it. What do you think, huh? I had to rush the final touches a little bit. It turned out all right, though.
What's it supposed to be?
It's Flora, of course, surrounded by all her favorite people.
Мы потом об этом тоже узнаем. То есть любимых людей, ну, Фрея, он и кое-кого еще. Про него мы узнаем в библиотеке, я скажу. Вот сама комната Фрей. То есть тут вообще нет окон.
Do you think this was always supposed to be a bedroom?
I don't know. It is kind of a weird shape.
No windows either.
Вроде бы Хок-Шоу говорила, что когда она заходила к ней, та смотрела в окно в своей комнате. Но здесь нету окон. Куда она могла смотреть? Хок-Шоу нам
Not the kind of map I choose for my bedroom, but fair enough.
It's cool. Looks like old mining equipment or something.
И Фиц говорил, что у нее есть террариум для жуков.
I think it's a vivarium.
Ну, виварий.
Come again?
See the leaves and twigs in there? Might have been for keeping insects.
Да, вот и Фиц про это, кстати, тоже говорил. Рисунки.
Drawings taped up on the wall.
What's that one on the left?
Looks like two people standing together in the garden. One of them's holding a red rose.
Фиц, Поппи, Фифи и какой-то другой рисунок. Хок-Шоу написан. Но посмотрите, Хок-Шоу почему-то нарисовано вообще по-другому, в отличие от этих два. И не то, что даже на бумагу, вот на само, вот как будто другой человек написал. Рисунок нарисовал. Рисунок Фрейи. Рисунок, на котором изображены мужчина и женщина в саду, они держат в руке красную розу. Фиц, Поппи. Рисунок, на котором изображена молодая женщина, Фифи. На котором изображена детектив Хок-Шоу.
That painting is really something.
Why would you want it looming over your bed like that?
Maybe Freya enjoyed the atmosphere it creates.
The atmosphere of chaos and oppression?
Hang on. There is a smaller version down by the floor.
It's a photograph.
Фотография. Фотография картина. Небольшая фотография абстрактной картины Фрейи. На нее прикреплен кусочек изоленты. По краям черными чернилами нарисованы линии.
Do you think this was always supposed to be a
I
bed?
don't know.
No windows either.
Freya's bear.
Looks pretty depressed.
He's had a rough couple of days.
It's Freya's bed. A little bit messy.
It's a perfectly healthy amount of messy.
Even though we're halfway up a tower, someone's been tracking in mud from outside.
Тут такое...
It's a fish, I think?
I think it looks more like a whale.
Fine, it's a whale.
Could also be a shark. Painting supplies.
И вот тайник
It's a
Фрей
little
сам.
wooden box for paintbrushes.
To the casual observer, maybe.
И вот
They're not real paintbrushes. Looks like they're part of some kind of lock mechanism.
удивительно, правда. Мне нравится. То есть тут есть якобы свои загадки. Сейчас даже вначале надо собрать пазл, чтобы разгадать загадку. Хотя вот эта окошко не очень подходит под всю эту загадку, если подумать так-то. Я не шучу. То есть, смотрите. Видите, сама вот эта листочка загадка, и она очень маленькая. Точнее, подсказками, а не загадкой. С подсказками, простите. Неправильно сказал. В общем, давайте сейчас будем ставить смысл. Вначале рост. То есть, должен стоять самый маленький. От самого маленького к самому большому. Второе, что должно быть, это то, что первый из всех должен быть оранжевым. То есть он должен быть не маленьким, и у него должна быть оранжевая основа. То есть вот это вот стоит первым. Следующее. Следующее ничего не известно. Про его рост, про какая у него должна быть форма кисточки, какой цвет этого. Но должен быть именно, на нем должна быть зеленая краска. То есть это может быть любой из них. Пока что оставим вот этот вот просто. Следующее, третье, должен иметь только форму. Понимаете, тоже не иметь только форму кисточки. То есть вот такая или вот такая форма должна оставаться тут. Ну да, без разницы. Нет, есть разница. Четвертый, да, должен иметь синий цвет, как и этот зеленый. То есть их надо поменять местами. Последний, пятый, ну не последний, а вот пятый должен иметь такую вот кисточку с не знаю, с таким скатыванием. То есть вот так это должно выглядеть. То есть кисточка должна быть по форме. Вот тут тоже как бы розовый должен быть. То есть маленький, второй, известно только что зеленая краска, третий, только что форма кисточки должна быть вот такая, и что у нее должно быть основание розовым. Четвертый, не вообще только краска синяя, про все остальное неизвестно. Пятый должен быть только якобы кисточка должна быть так вот ну не знаю, как это правильно назвать. И последний, он должен быть самым высоким, и все.
That's done it.
Neat. What was in the box?
Just a photograph. Well, most of a photograph.
Порванная фотография. Фотография двух девочек. У одной красные волосы, у другой зеленые. От фотографии оторван большой кусок. То есть там их 3. Но это мы узнаем, кто там был третьим. И найдем последний кусочек, кстати, фотографии. А пока что идем в библиотеку к Фифи. К Фифи. Как она теперь себя называет. Тут, понятно, книги, всякое такое. И такая маленькая лаборатория. Тут.
It's an illustrated book about birds.
It's been left open. Looks like somebody was halfway through reading it.
Or it was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly unnerving.
Ну, чтобы ее нашли. И тут птица. Эту птицу мы уже видели. Фигурки Феликса для своей жены. Как раз таки есть эта птица. Книга с птицами. Чернильник, на удивление, умная птица, живущая очень долго. По сравнению с другими птицами-миститами. Другие птицы часто агрессивны по отношению к чернильнику. Поэтому большую часть жизни он проводит в одиночестве. Чернильник отличается особенностью питания и обычно ест только семена растения Тантум амика, латинский. Смотрите рисунок. Вот он, рисунок. Можно даже приблизить. Вот даже сам цветок. Маленький птенец и перо, которое является с конце с какого-либо цвета. Цвет неизвестен, потому что вот как бы... Ну вот, птица неизвестна. Ну, она черно-белая. Но мы знаем, какой у нее цвет. Напишите в комментариях, если догадались.
Books about ancient history?
These books are ancient history. I think they'd crumble into dust if I tried to pick them up.
Good excuse.
Thanks. Books about geography.
Skip. Books about insects.
Well, theoretically. There's not a single book on that shelf.
Huh.
Интересно, почему?
Books about space.
They're relatively untouched. Books about nature? Books about birds.
The shelves are about half empty.
Oh, so you're a the shelves are half empty kind of person.
You knew this already.
Sure. Why not build a science lab in the corner of the library?
The search for new knowledge. The archiving of old knowledge. It's downright poetic.
Вот за этот шаг, кстати, дает ачивку,
Of sorts.
если вам интересно.
Hey, look at that. It's a model of Tangle Tower. There's the lake and those weird mountains. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing souvenir.
Вот так непонятно, это типа вода или типа песок. Мне вот что волнует. То есть за горами там есть и вода, или это путанная башня настолько странно, что оно находится на воде, за горами, а за горами либо вода, либо песок. Вот что интересно.
A chalkboard.
Is this a library or a classroom?
И вот, кстати, про эту доску тоже не забываем.
Any idea what this means?
Not a clue.
Она, как и была у Фитца, тоже мы тоже затронем, но чуть позже.
Math equations.
Don't look at them for too long. You'll give yourself a headache.
I'm not sure I learned anything from that.
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, There must be something I am still missing.
May I talk to you, miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't care.
I am a detective, and I need to talk.
Correction. You do not need to talk to me,
Oh no? How come?
because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Beefy fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi.
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other?
Ну, якобы...
Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44.
Вау.
Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been... non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond. Name, Felix Fellow. Age, 53. Profession, none. Likes, collecting objects of negligible monetary value and assigning them personal value. Dislikes? The inescapable realities of human existence. Notes. Felix is my father and legal guardian.
And, is he a good dad?
I have no point of comparison, but I would say no.
No? Why not?
You asked me a binary question. Do not get upset that I provided one of the two possible answers.
What makes him a bad father, Fifi?
He has trouble expressing his emotions, and something of a willful detachment from reality.
Huh. Just like you, then.
Grimoire.
No. He is quite correct. Name, Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes, kindly disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangle Tower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly one grandparent. Name, Hotshot. Age, unknown. Profession, private detective. Likes, quote, being left alone. Dislikes, quote, being constantly badgered by a weirdo nerd with a clipboard.
Это чуть-чуть смешно.
Name, Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became, 1, increasingly independent, and 2, increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you are friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
Name, Fitzfellow. Age, 24. Profession, cryptobotanist. Likes soil, dislikes electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I would have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So what's your problem with him?
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife.
Мы этот, кстати, нож найдем,
What
но
is
все,
your
это будет...
opinion of Tangle Tower?
Блин, я даже не знаю, может походить по этим башням, поговорить, а
Unique
потом...
architecture?
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangle Tower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her.
Ха, Фрейя, да.
I require facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell...
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene,
Apart from the one in the painting.
which as a mere abstract representation does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the heart. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are.
This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right. But why?
I do not know why. Curious. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course.
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring. The red paint on the brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer. The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days.
Is she laughing?
That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden and in the Grand Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs. This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh yes, it has a telescopic lens. It could only be used for looking at things that are far away. The fruit here has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them completely pointless. Unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends.
On what?
On the structural integrity of your teeth.
Ooh.
A wooden carving of my father, made by my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint. It is a model of Freya, made by my father.
A model of Flora, you mean?
And a man with a beard. And a little red and white creature.
Why would my father make a model of Freya? There is a drawing of me, a drawing of Detective Hawkshaw, and a drawing of Poppy and Fitz. I believe Freya was attempting to communicate something through this painting.
Any idea what it was?
I am not the person to ask. All I see is a blood-red mountain with angry storm clouds brewing above it. As such, I cannot ascertain any meaning from it whatsoever. This photograph is my favorite photograph.
So, why'd you rip it in half?
That was not me. Besides, it was not a half that was ripped off. It was only a third.
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time.
Да, тут довольно
Phoebe's
странное
bedroom should be
отношение.
unlocked now.
Can't wait.
There's something about Felix's painting supplies.
Вот это тоже подозрение.
Something suspicious.
Ага.
Let's ask him about it.
Ну это тоже позже.
There's something about the image of Flora in the painting. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
Это все позже. То есть, смотрите, теперь есть как бы подозрения вот так вот начаются. Вначале мы пройдемся по этим, потом по комнатам, закончим видео и в следующем, ну, поспрашиваем всех и вся обо всем. музыкальная комната.
Are they paper lanterns?
Whatever they are, I like them. It's like a little parade of floating spirits.
Sheet music. It's handwritten.
That's a lot of notes. Looks pretty difficult.
Probably why they're on the floor. Who plays the violin, I wonder?
It's pretty dusty, so I'm guessing nobody.
Who plays the violin, I wonder?
It's pretty so I'm guessing
Я
nobody.
думал, это от гитары футляр.
There's a faded mural on the
When I
wall.
was a kid, I never knew the difference between a mural and a mosaic.
You still don't know, do you?
No.
One old wooden bookcase.
Yep.
25 dry old books.
Mm-hmm.
4 lit candles.
Yeah.
Am I the only one seeing the problem?
Ну да, проблема правда есть.
Oh, whatever it is, it's playing a little trumpet.
Well, it is the music room. He's got to practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
Статуя с горном. Блестящая статуя страшного существа, выдерживающая большой горн. По всей длине горна проходит заметная трещина. В горне и на земле вокруг статуи валяются осколки. Кстати, он связан с вот этой статуей еще с одной. Если найти все 3 статуи, можно получить ачивку. Но это будет по сюжету, можно так сказать.
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude! Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
Ah,
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
what's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice. I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just, if you're 19...
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi... things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer. 3.5 hours of piano practice, soon as I wake up. Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way. So I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that. Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I did. I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked. but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The three of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it.
Блин.
Needless noise from tongues expel, unless within the mouth they dwell. The spoken word, unfit for dealing with the shifting form of feeling. Stand unblinking in the face of taciturn and soundless space.
Так, я знаете что? Предлагаю давайте вот эти вот про людей и про вот эти вот это все услышим на обратном пути. То есть мы сейчас...
All right. Poppy's bedroom is
I
on.
wonder what's in there.
Ну, потому что сейчас еще пойдем вот сюда и по комнатам. То есть поспрашиваем их про все остальное уже позже. Птичник.
What's those little windows down there?
I think they're there for draining rainwater.
Oh,
Но если
A rather
это типа
magnificent
клетка, ну,
somewhat
без
cruelly
стекла туда.
confined to a stone hut.
There's a letter P carved into the side. Check out that butterfly.
Looks evil.
Wow, judgmental. They're bird cages, but the birds are coming and going freely.
Is that a metaphor?
Oh, it totally is.
Bird diagrams. Hand painted.
They're beautiful. Someone really knows their stuff.
Bird diagrams. Hand
They're beautiful. Someone... I don't like mirrors. They steal your soul.
How do you get your hair so symmetrical without using a mirror?
I do it by weight. I can feel if one side is heavier than the other.
An especially fancy cage.
And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
Птицы и клетка. 3 цветастых птицы в тяжелой вычурной клетке.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
А что?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! And that shade, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Как
Travel.
мило.
Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our 2 families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether. I awoke early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there. Crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That and he has a great deal of work to do every day. Watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course. And they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I.
Тут люди в этой все путанной башне, у них такая, знаете, то грустная история, то какая-то странная. Не могу правильно объяснить это.
Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too, standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
We can get into Penny's room now.
Now, like, right now?
Давайте, знаете, как я сделаю видео, наверное, и так уже очень. Ну, не знаю, может даже час даже еще нету. Но как бы я уже немножко устал все. Давайте здесь мы с вами закончим. В следующей серии поговорим с профессором Пойтером. Пойдемся по комнатам. Поспрашиваем всех остальных с дополнительными, кто у нас будет. И посмотрим вот эти вот подозрения, если успеем. Короче, давайте здесь закончим. Чтобы я еще сильнее вас не утомлял. Игрушка интересная, но просто она как Оаками. Оаками игрушка была интересная, но там было так много текста, что хотелось задушиться. Данная игрушка тоже очень интересная игра. И мне она понравилась. Но многим из вас, наверное, будет скучно просто вот эти вот читать, слушать. Короче, без особых действий. Поэтому давайте здесь с вами закончим. В следующей серии мы продолжим. Надеюсь, данное видео вам понравилось. Прошу вас поддержать мой канал на Ютубе, на Яндекс.Дзене. Подпиской, лайком, комментарием, YouTube колокольчиком, Яндекс.Дзен просмотрами. Желаю вам всего хорошего. Желаю всего наилучшего. Не болейте. Надеюсь, уже наступил декабрь. Надеюсь, скоро наступят и зимние каникулы. Надеюсь, вы на них отлично отдохнете. Всем вам удачи и пока, мои дорогие друзья.